Hello and welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. Today I am going to dive into set 16, the new Datacron set called Unexpected Resurgence. Now normally what I do is find one particular Datacron that looks busted and I test it out. Like Sidious, like Special Forces, TIE Pilot. In this set there's not really any of those that are necessarily game changing in the way that those previous ones were. Anyway, let's get into it. So the stats, this is a really good one for stats. Health, protection, defense, critical damage, special damage, and physical damage. And I put the max values up on screen so you can see what the max values are. And this is going to be another defense cron. You can get up to 450%. So like looking at like Lord Vader teams, especially with some of the other stuff we got in here, going to be hard to kill, really hard to kill. Physical damage is going to be nice. Special damage, if depending on the characters, critical damage is always nice as well. But I think we have critical damage on the current one. Anyway, those just mix and match. Defense is always going to be busted, and it'll be very dependent on the team too. All right. So next up, we've got best level 3. So there's dark side and light side, and this time they're fairly different. And I picked the ones that are good. So for dark side, whenever they inflict damage over times on an enemy, they gain a stack of protection up 5% stacking till the end of the encounter. So I'm thinking Darth Vader and Wampa and Lord Vader. Lord Vader with this thing is going to be nuts. Anyway, Wampa 2. So this will help Wampa a little bit. Probably not change any of his matchups, but make the current ones more reliable. First time a dark side tank ally is defeated, revive them with 100% health, reset their cooldowns, and they gain a bonus turn. So this basically gives all the dark side tanks hatred. This is just going to be useful to have no matter what. Like your tank revives and gets a bonus turn. It's just going to be so useful. Think right now, you know how you usually have a Darth Revan team with Malik. Is Malik a tank though? I don't know. Anyway, if you're using troopers against them, this bonus turn is going to kill their train. There's a lot of anti-trooper things in here, but let's move on. Basic ability, whenever they use a basic, they gain speed up for 2 turns. Nice to have. And then whenever they use a special ability, they gain 15% turn meter. Turn meter gains, always good to have. Pretty solid dark side level 3s. For the light side, there is not as many that were super good. We have the Amplify Agony, 2% of that enemy's max health if you inflict a debuff. That's okay, it's just not the greatest, but I mean, it's not bad. We have the 25% chance to dispel all debuffs on yourself whenever you take a turn. This is good, especially for like Rey against Starkiller. On teams where you're expecting everyone to remain stunned or be locked down by something like shock or healing immunity, something like that. That'll be very useful, potentially. And then whenever a light side ally uses a basic ability, they gain critical chance up, critical damage up, and offense up. This is going to be very good for teams that use assists a lot. So you're looking at CLS, Phoenix. Just going to be very, very good with this because you get an extra critical damage, extra offense. It's just solid to have. Now so there's the factions are not factions anymore. They are roles. So you have support, healer, tank, and attackers. So that's how those are broken up if it looks a little bit different than you're used to. So support There's two that can be good, and mainly just this long one. Often the long text is the best text. That's just always the case for Datacrons usually. But this one, when an support ally starts the turn, they dispel tenacity up, then reduce their tenacity by 100% until the end of the turn, which is crazy. So you're going to land a ton of debuffs. And then whenever they land a debuff, all allies get benefits based on their roll for the rest of the encounter. And to my knowledge, and what everybody else seems to be thinking, is that these are all stacking. It wouldn't make much sense if they weren't. But attackers get 10% critical damage, healers get 5% tenacity, supports get potency, and tanks get defense. Stacking defense and stacking critical damage are going to be big, very big. Tenacity certainly helps as well, but there's not very many healers in the game. Potency, this will help, but we're already reducing their tenacity by 100%, so... Oh yeah, this would also potentially kill Wampa if you throw this on like a Mon Mothma team with a support character. Is Mon Mothma a support? Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, and then to round out the bustedness of this level 6, whenever a support grants a buff to another ally, they also inflict buff immunity for 1 turn on all enemies. That's massive. All those teams, you're stuck behind a tank and it keeps refreshing the taunt. They keep just getting it back and getting it back. No, this is not an issue anymore. You just block them from getting the buff at all. So that is very nice. And then there's more of a niche one, which is whenever sports allies grant a buff to another ally, that ally gains a 10% turn meter. And this is going to be especially useful for like troopers. It's not going to make them do anything crazy. It'll just help them continue their turn meter train. Maybe you might be able to do something funky with it, with the extra turn meter, but I kind of don't see it changing any matchups. Now on to tank. Tank has 3. So the long text one, which is generically going to be the best, I would think, is at the start of their turn, tanks gain 20% of their max health as max protection. There is no limit on this. This just every time they take a turn, they gain 20% of their max health as max protection. That's like if you leave a tank alive, that's rough. The first time they lose all their protection, they recover 100% protection, and then they gain 50% max. So they're just going to have so much protection. In addition, whenever they're inflicted with a debuff, they taunt for 2 turns. So this is good for your non-taunting tanks, like your Jedi Training Ray. I forget others, but yeah, non-taunting tanks are going to love this because as soon as they get a debuff, boom, they are taunting. And while they are taunting, they receive 50% less damage from out-of-turns attacks and assist whenever allies use a special ability. So that's just a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of good stuff. Now, at the start of each turn, if so they exclude Galactic Legend tanks, you can't put this 50% or more turn meter reduce damage by 75%. This one is usually locked, like currently it's locked to Galactic Republic in the other set. Now it's just any tank could potentially get this, except for Galactic Legends, because that would be kind of crazy with Master Luke. So that's just going to be solid overall, great one to have. Just slap it on any tank. It's going to be good. And then at the start of battle, tanks lose all max protection and gain that much max health. This is like what Lord Vader does to his team. Tank allies gain grit until the end of battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Now what grit does is it means you take reduced damage from percent health effects. So I'm thinking CLS counters Grand Inquisitor a lot, especially in like territory wars. And if you get stuck behind Ninth Sister, that can be an issue, and it might just all fall apart if you can't get around her fast enough. right? If you're not able to just blitz down Grand Inquisitor in the first volley. And so I'm thinking this with Ninth Sister with the Inquisitors is going to be really good because I think it'll stop CLS from being able to eat through Ninth Sister. But there's probably a bunch of other combinations of things that could happen too, which is part of why I like this set. There's just so much stuff that's broadly applicable. We're going to be theory crafting from until this set goes away, honestly. All right. Best healer level 6, there's really only one, and it grants a bunch of bonuses when like you get, if somebody gets healed by a healer, they get their cooldowns reduced by 1. Healers themselves, if they're critically hit, they gain 10% of their health back, and then they gain 10 speed up to 100 for the rest of the encounter, which is nice. Whenever an ally is revived on their turn, then all allies recover 100% max health and protection, which is really, really, really nice. This makes things like Ewoks. And there's a level 9, which I don't get into in this video, but there's a level 9 for Ewok Elder, which essentially resets his cooldowns every time he takes a turn. And so he can constantly use the revive. And every time he uses a revive and revives someone, then they recover 100% max health and protection. Seems like it'll be fairly easy to get around, but at the very least, if you try to blitz down Elder or another healer, they will revive and recover all their health the first time they are defeated. So solid to have, maybe not as strong as the other categories, other factions, but still pretty strong. Now attacker, there are 2. The long text for the attacker is whenever they critically hit, they attack again, once per turn, limit. Otherwise, they gain 10% defense penetration stacking. That's really good. And then attacking again is really good, especially when you combine it with whenever they attack out of turn, they deal bonus true damage, which can't be evaded. Now, how much bonus true damage yet to be seen? Maybe it won't really be all that worth it, but hitting again, defense penetration, that's going to be really nice. Hopefully the true damage will be really nice as well. This could help with, if you get stuck behind an evading character, like you worked up Rey's mastery too much and she's dodging left and right. The bonus true damage can't be evaded. So there's that. The other one that's really good, short and sweet, whenever they defeat an enemy, they take a bonus turn. I'm looking at stuff like Bane for this, because Bane's losing his Kron, but if you can get Bane going on a roll here and then he starts killing people and then he just takes bonus turns, I think that will help offset some of the things he's losing from, his current Kron going away. Now, into some comps. So people will be losing their Holocron. But do not fear. We have something that will probably be not as annoying, but still more annoying than usual Rey. So what I'm doing here is I'm running a double tank. This can vary. I would recommend double tanks. I've got Holdo and Rey in there. And I've got the Dispel on the level 3. And I'm specifically targeting the Starkiller counter here to make sure Starkiller can't just get away with countering Rey. Now, the tank one, we're using the long tank one, so Rey, Holdo, or whoever you got in there, extra tanky, recovering stuff. It's going to be really annoying when you're trying to work through stuff with Starkiller. And whenever they're inflicted with a debuff, they taunt for 2 turns. Now Starkiller is all about debuffs. So Holdo is back to taunting permanently. Rey is taunting permanently, plus they're juiced up. And while taunting, they receive 50% less damage from out-of-turn attacks. So you're relying a lot on Starkiller assisting, right? You got Mara Jade into Palpatine, who calls Starkiller. 50% less damage is gonna suck, especially if you've got like a ton of defense or a bunch of health or protection. Honestly, just all of the stats on the Kron are gonna make it a nightmare for Starkiller to get through. So, I mean, possibly other teams as well, but we'll see what happens with it. That's my replacement for Holdokron there. Now Resistance is losing their Kron. They can no longer cheese JMK to death, but they will still be a good team, and I think they will be a good defensive team. I'm putting them with the level 3, on a basic, get critical chance up, critical damage up, and offense up, just to boost their damage output, because they can really turn things around. And then whenever I'm using the long support, so they get buff immunity and stacking stats, right? So I think this is really nice because it'll stop troopers for sure if someone tries to trooper it. It will mess with a lot of people. Like getting buff immunity randomly on their whole team is gonna suck. Plus, the tenacity down will help ZORII out a little bit. She doesn't apply too many debuffs, but that's why I also put BB-8 in there. He does apply debuffs and tenacity down. He also gives buffs to allies, so buff immunity will be there to stay. Now, I don't know if this is the best one, but this one seemed good because it does shut down troopers, and it will make life probably pretty hard for CLS, I would imagine. Let me guys know if you think there's a better combo in here. These are just kind of my initial theory crafting. Now on to Bane. Bane's losing his Kron. It's a really good Kron, and he's just not gonna be quite the same without it. But I think he still can be really good. So I wanted to give him the 15% turn meter on a special. What kills Bane a lot of the times, especially against like Leia and Jabba and just GLs in general, is that he gets slowed down and he just kind of peters out and then gets killed before he can get back around to his special abilities. Now, turn meter, that's just going to help in general, keep him rolling a little bit more. And then I also put the bonus turn when he defeats an enemy, because he's going to AoE. Like think of a team a lot like you kill Drogon or you kill like Maul or something on a Lord Vader team, you instantly get to go again. And then if you can chain, because you can ignore taunt, right? You chain that with killing some other low health people with maybe your basic, cycle through your cooldowns, do one of the 2 AoEs again, and then just keep killing people until it's just you and the GL. And if it's just Bane in the GL, Bane wins. So I think this will be a fairly decent Kron for Bane. Not as good as the old Bane Kron, but serviceable. Phoenix, there's 2 types here. One has to do with Sabine's level 9, and the other is just a level 6 one if you're not going to go all the way up to level 9. Or you can't get Sabine. So obviously basic ability, get the critical damage, critical chance, and offense up because they're assisting all the time. They're all going to have it constantly. The level 6 attacker is needed because Sabine is an attacker to get her level 9, but we're going to do the hit again plus the bonus true damage. That's just going to boost her damage output there because she's usually the only attacker on the team, but as you'll see with the level 9, she'll be doing lots of damage. So down here we've got the level 9, and there's 2 level 9s. One of them is total garbage. The other one is this. Whenever an enemy takes a turn, Sabine Wren takes a bonus turn. So yeah, that is huge. She's going to be taking so many turns, cycling through her cooldowns. Also, just like special, everybody assists, so she can just keep taking her turns. Everybody will assist. It's going to be interesting. This one I think has the most potential to actually change matchups. Not sure what we're going to be able to do with this, but it looks promising. And during her bonus turn, she deals 100% more damage. So she's just going to be doing lots and lots and lots of damage for you. Now, the type 2 was more like general, just buffing what Phoenix can already do. Now this is again, the level 3 buffs on the basic, plus the long support. Now the long support here is, the long support is going to be very good for them because Rex applies debuffs a ton, and they're running a turn meter train, so he gets a ton of turns. These stats are going to stack really quickly, and all of his debuffs are going to land. So, plus he does give buffs to his allies, so there will be buff immunity. I'm thinking, like, it's already pretty good against Riva, but like, Riva's going to be a piece of cake now. I mean, you get buff immunity on her, and then I think you should be able to just go around her. I'm sure there's other teams too you'll be able to take out by just slamming them with buff immunity. But this is the one that I'm probably going to run with unless I get the Sabine level 9. But this is just going to make Phoenix really good. Really, really good. This can also be used on defense. Going to be really annoying to deal with, trying to avoid them killing who you don't want to kill because your tank has buff immunity. But of course you could combine that with the one where if you get a debuff you taunt, but if you have buff immunity you can't taunt. So lots of interesting interactions going on here. Next, there's 2 iterations of Starkiller. Starkiller on offense. And this is basically accentuating what Starkiller already does. Lots of assists. So basic, you get speed up just to help keep the turn meter train rolling. Make sure Palps, Starkiller, Mara, Jade keep taking turns. The support level 6 goes on Palpatine because Palpatine wants to apply shock and he wants to apply stun, and this minus 100% tenacity on his turn is going to allow him to do that to pretty much anybody. Then the stacking stuff is nice. He will be inflicting debuffs all the time. The stacking critical damage for Starkiller is going to be really, really nice. And then he also, on his AoE shock, he grants offense up to everybody, so he will be inflicting buff immunity. So this could help against certain matchups. Not sure if it'll help totally with Jabba. You could maybe get a buff immunity on him, but on Chrysanthemum and Jabba himself, actually, to prevent the protection up. So yeah, lots of potent things you can do with this one, I think. But then we have to talk about Visas Mar has a level 9. Now, I said this one's on defense because it revolves around reviving your team. Kind of like Night Sisters almost. But it's when you're going up against like Rey, she often kills your team with Whirlwind, from which you cannot revive. So I was thinking, I mean, this could work, don't get me wrong, on like Jabba, as long as he doesn't insta-kill you with the Rancor. Just kind of like help you out if you lose somebody before you really get going. They revive. But anyway, let's talk about it. We got buffs on the basic for light side. And then for the attacker, and I'm not sure, so Visas is light side, so I'm not sure if the light side plus attacker is what narrows it down, but I'm assuming that it is. Anyway, point aside, this is not attacker. Oops. Is it attacker? No, this should be healer. Sorry. I will relabel this. But this is attacker. By the way, this will be linked down below in the description. This is healer. Level 6 healer. you know, you reduce cooldowns. That's nice. Whenever an ally is revived on an ally healer's turn, everybody recovers 100% max health and protection. So if somebody dies, Visas revives them, everybody gets all their health and protection back, which is really, really nice. And if Visas gets defeated, and it's not by Ray's Whirlwind, then she revives and gets 100% max health. Also, her level 9, the first time she's defeated, if there's at least one other active ally, revive all other defeated allies, and other allies recover 100% health and protection. Gain 100% turn meter and offense until the end of the battle. So I believe that is... I don't think that's quite correct. I'll log into my game real quick and look, but I think this is Visas Mar gains 100% turn meter and offense, not all of her allies. Yeah, I think that comma is not supposed to be there. I'll just double check you real quick. We're looking at Unexpected Resurgence, character, Visas Mar. Wait. If there's at least one other active ally, revive all other defeated allies, and other allies recover 100% health and protection, comma, gain 100%. Yeah, so this is like, so comma, gain 100% turn meter and 100% offense in the battle. So that's only Visas Mar. So everybody gets a free life, basically. And then whenever she revives, it'll just be very, very annoying. You'll have to bring in something that kills permanently. So that will make Starkiller very, very annoying on defense. Next, CLS. This one's pretty basic. You know, you want the buffs on the basic ability to juice up their damage, and then you want the extra true damage when they attack out of turn, because they all attack out of turn, and everybody except for 3PO is an attacker on this team, so they all get this bonus. It'll be interesting to see what CLS can beat, but yeah, I will leave a link to this down in the description below. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you again next time.